I'm going to be answering your questions. Now, it's about Kaguya's story, right, and the retcons in Boruto. First question or first comment is, hopefully Boruto fills in Kaguya's backstory in a better way. I agree with that because we know almost nothing about the Otsutsuki, right? The amount of information we've gotten so far is not enough. It's just sprinkled everywhere. And they need to tie everything in and give us an entire backstory about this clan, because you can't introduce a clan and not explain everything about them in depth, right? I feel like that's what Kishimoto should have done, but he never did, and Kodachi now has the opportunity to expand on that. I want to know where they come from, and if they even have a planet. If they don't have a planet, then maybe they can have like a central hub somewhere in some kind of dimension where they all meet up in order to communicate with whoever calls the shots, right? Next question is, agree, just a little thing. Lightning Rasengan, these are names given to chakra techniques, maybe by the ninja, but that doesn't mean that they are the first who created them. Momoshiki was using Rasengan without knowing his name, and he was using the Rasengan in Boruto because he knew that Boruto called the technique like this. Toneri, pretty much used the Byakugan Tensegan. So I don't see why Indra and Ashura could not have done the same. Yeah, I fully agree with you. That's a very logical comment to make, right? Next person says, she was pregnant so she couldn't fly. That makes absolutely no sense. It has not been said that pregnancy hinders one's ability to use chakra, right? The only thing that was mentioned about pregnancy is that once a Jinchuriki is pregnant, the seal becomes weakened. That's basically all that was said. Next one says, if the Otsutsuki physically transform by gaining massive amount of chakra, eating the chakra fruit, it's also reasonable to assume that they might transform back to their base form when they are drained of their chakra. In the confrontation with Ichiki, Kaguya might have spent most of her chakra, making her unable to open or use her Rinne Sharingan eye, and limited her ability such as fly. We have no evidence either way, so it's too early to call it a contradiction. Based on the rules that have been established so far, I disagree with you. Here's a reason why. Okay, so Sasuke also has a Rinnegan. The Rinnegan is not going to revert back into a Sharingan. That's not going to happen, right? Just because Sasuke is low on chakra, that's not going to happen. When he's low on chakra, he cannot use his Rinnegan abilities, right? And that's basically it. It doesn't revert back to anything, and no dojutsu reverts back to its previous form once it evolved. So yeah, second thing is that they have chakra reserves, right? If they are out of chakra, their body automatically naturally will recover that, so she will get back to 100% at some point in time. So it doesn't make sense for her to not be able to recover her chakra. And if she had to constantly hunt planets just to get fruits so she can use her ability, then she wouldn't be as powerful as she was made to be. All right, so that's why I agree. And you said also, if the anime stays internally consistent, portraying Kaguya without horns when arriving on Earth, there is really no problem here. Both the anime and manga have their own kind of canon. By the same logic, meeting Jiraiya in the time travel arc in the anime would have been contradiction, but to Boruto in the manga, who never met him, it is not a contradiction and not unique to the Kaguya flashback, just parallel storytelling with only straight deviations of the internal consistency. I disagree with that. The reason why is this, okay? So a lot of these mangaka these days are getting away with telling multiple versions of a story and trying to say that every single one of them is canon. It doesn't make sense, because if fans are debating about something, which version is supposed to be the right one? You literally cannot debate, and you literally cannot come to conclusion on the right answer, right? And the thing about what Kodachi said is this: he said that the Boruto filler is canon, and everything that happened in the anime is canon in the universe and happened in the manga, right? We've seen a little connection there where Boruto basically said that he went to the Mist Village before, which was an arc in the anime, right? Here's the problem about all these things: because they are writing a lot of different continuations, a lot of it doesn't make sense. That's when it starts to clash. Alright, the same thing with Kaguya's Rinnegan. She has been depicted when she arrived on Earth with Ishiki to have a Rinne Sharingan, but at the same time, when you look at the backstory based on what Studio Parrot is saying, that never happened in the first place. Kaguya has always been depicted on horns, and her design is based on a rabbit on the moon, and the reason why she's called a rabbit specifically is because of her horns. So she cannot be coming down from the moon based on what her origin story is based on and not have any horns at all. Just like Momoshiki and Kinshiki were based on certain folklore stories, the same thing is with Kaguya, and her design was created as such, and that's how she was introduced in the first place. So yeah, a lot of it doesn't make sense. Kodachi even said at some point that a lot of the fillers, right, in the original Naruto are, canon, but it doesn't make sense because in some of the filler, Naruto meets certain characters that he at the moment, did not really know, so it doesn't make sense. A lot of it is just a clusterfuck, and it causes a lot of confusion, and a lot of fans in the Boruto community have been complaining, saying a lot of things don't make sense, and they have all the right to say so, because here people are creating different continuations and saying all of them are canon. It doesn't make sense. It creates a lot of confusion, and that's exactly why I disagree. But good comment though. Eric Smith says, do you think Black Zetsu is some form of karma? He's saying his son doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what Black Zetsu is, but Kaguya has the Rinnegan, and the person who has the Rinnegan has the ability to create things. So I think what Kaguya did is she basically created her will, or a physical manifestation of what she wants to be done, and that's basically what Black Zetsu is, not a karma seal. Now, thing is, she was sealed away, and that's basically kind of killing her based on what has been said by Kodachi himself. The karma seal was not invented back then, so therefore, Black Zetsu was created in place. That's the only explanation to give why she used Black Zetsu instead of putting a karma on Naruto or Sasuke. Next one is, also Kaguya could be in her second body. I assume they fought and she was also damaged, because it would be crazy to think she took no damage and beat him. She might have used her karma seal on someone and it didn't take long, but she's restarted from zero. You know what? Maybe Kaguya could have probably put her karma seal on somebody, and she could revive herself during the period of Boruto. Like, that would be a good storyline in order for her to revive herself, and then she meets Ishiki in the same situation as Ishiki is, and then they duke it out, and then somehow they revive themselves. Like, that would be an interesting story. And at the moment in the manga, I want Ishiki to win, because if he wins, then the story becomes more interesting, right? If he loses, then that's basically it. The entire hype on the Boruto manga would basically be dead, because let's be honest, the reason why people like it right now is because there are Otsutsuki's involved, and we might learn more, and we might also meet new aliens that are not just Otsutsuki. So yeah, I doubt that she put her karma seal on anyone, because if she actually did, then she would be making movements. So maybe she did, and we never found out who it was. Or because Black Zetsu is a physical manifestation of her, Black Zetsu could have put the karma seal on someone before, during the time when he was still roaming around on the earth and the Akatsuki was still around. Next person says, lol, I said the same thing in my video after watching the video though. I'm convinced that there is a lot of inconsistencies with the Studio Period's adaptation. It is like they created another story, but I guess we'll just have to live with it. Yeah, I agree. And check this person out if you like his videos, and subscribe to him if you do. But I do agree with you on the different types of stories. You cannot create a multitude of stories and say all of them are canon. It doesn't make sense. It's either you tell one story, or you say this is just based off a multiverse with different universes where things happen differently. You can't just create a lot of stories, all that don't make sense when you combine it with each other and say, yeah, this makes sense. It doesn't. It's just like when Kishimoto established a rule saying that a person cannot use both powers of the Mangekyo Sharingan without the eyes, and for some reason out of nowhere Madara was able to use Susanoo without his eyes. It makes absolutely no sense. That's like him using Limbo Hengoku without the Rinnegan. It doesn't make sense. That's like him using Tengai Shinsei without the Rinnegan. It makes absolutely no sense, and that's exactly what I mean with inconsistencies. These people tell so many stories to the point where they write themselves in a corner, and then they say, oh yeah, it's still canon anyway, regardless of whether it makes sense or not. It's horrible. When you're a storyteller, you shouldn't be creating all these confusions and then telling people, oh yeah, they do make sense when they actually don't. Next person says, the Kaguya, Indra and Ashura arc are canon, as they were ideas from Kishimoto, since he never expanded on the story. In the manga, the Shippuden anime director said that Kishimoto helped him with the arc. Just because Kishimoto helped him with the arc doesn't necessarily mean that he is right, and here's my reason why. Okay, yeah, what Kishimoto says most of the time goes, but a lot of the stuff that he creates, some of it has a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of things don't make sense. One is the previous example I gave, right? That's like Naruto saying, okay, now I can use Amaterasu. He has no dojutsu at all. That's literally the equivalent of Madara using his dojutsu abilities without any dojutsu. It makes absolutely no sense, and there are lots of inconsistencies in there, right? For example, Kakashi has a low amount of chakra. And for some reason in the war, he was spamming his, Kamui to the point where it doesn't make sense. When he was fighting against Pain, he used his chakra and he quickly ran out of it because he has, an average chakra, not high levels. For some reason in the war, he displayed the ability to use more jutsus than he did in the Pain arc. That makes absolutely no sense. Kishimoto he writes himself in the corner. He doesn't stick with the rules of the law that he established, and then he tries to pass it off as canon anyway. And as a person who likes consistency, I can't accept that. One thing that doesn't make sense is how Jigen survived for 1,000 years when he had Ishiki eating out his internal organs and is just a human being. Here's the thing, because he took over Jigen's body, right? Remember, Madara Uchiha was able to sustain his life and live for a very long time because he was attached to the Gido statue, right? So chakra is the way in which Otsutsuki's use in order to live longer. Therefore, the same thing should apply to humans, right? So the fact that he's using Jigen's body in order to absorb chakra is possibly the reason why Jigen is still alive. He's using the chakra to keep himself alive and to make sure the body does not break apart. So yeah, I feel like that's the reason why Jigen is still alive, is because Ishiki has been absorbing chakra, right? Etched the karma on him so he can absorb chakra and use that to extend his life. But yeah, those are all the comments I'm willing to answer for now, and the next one is coming soon. So if you have not left your comments yet, leave them in the comment section down below, because I will be reading a lot of them, I will be answering a lot of them, and I will be making videos with a lot of them. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed my opinions, and I respectfully agree and disagree with every single one I read, right? But then again, these are just opinions. You don't have to agree. It is fine if you don't agree, and it is fine if you do agree. So yeah, with that being said, I have nothing more to say. I hope you enjoyed my video, and bye.